Many of us take medications. I say my people who like to take medicines. Whether it's agbo, whether it's, they say go and cook garden leaves. And I get those emails too, because my mom is diabetic. She had stroke. And you see somebody send you an email saying, oh, go and buy garden egg leaves in America. I'm not going to do that. I said, they don't sell those garden leaves in America. And they said, oh, send us your address. We can mail it to you from Nigeria. I said, is it by force? I don't do that. I'll have to go back to the lab to test the pharmacognosy, the toxicity profile, the correct dose. I'm not saying they don't work, but it's not straightforward. There are complications. So the reason we're having this is multiple reasons to become informed as a person, as a country, as a continent. In Africa, we just pop pills. We just take, I can't sneeze. You say, give me medicine. I can't carry my leg. Give me medicine. When I did my PhD, I worked on the lab on formulation, and I liked the project I worked on. I'm like, okay, I don't want to work in the lab anymore. What happens after the lab? How does a drug go from, we can now formulate, we can test, we do preclinical testing. How does it get to the market? So it's been interesting, right? There's a lot to talk about, but I want to go straight into what clinical trials is. Ask for proof. It's okay to ask for proof. One of the reasons I became a scientist was as a child. And people will bite you. Children will bite you. And they'll tell you, oh, when you get home, don't worry. Just put either okra or bird poop. And their teeth will fall out. And I was excited. I'm sorry. So I go home, I put bird poop, nasty, on my skin. All in the name that, oh, that person's teeth, I'm going to see them fall out. But then I see them the next day, and the teeth did not fall out. Who lied to me? So I wanted to grow up. I wanted to go into the lab. I wanted to test, why did the bird poop not work and let that person's teeth fall out? Those were my questions and led to me being a scientist, because I didn't believe everything I was told anymore. I wanted to find out for myself. So again, let's encourage our children to ask questions. Even as adults, it's okay to ask questions. So we're coming back to clinical trials. Don't just take things at face value. If they bring something to you and say, oh, it's supposed to cure this, ask questions. Have you used this? How many people has it been tested on? What are the side effects? Because I want to know what the side effects is. Every drug has side effects. Every drug has side effects. That's a fact. There's no drug that has zero side effects. So just know before you take the next medication. Because another thing we need to be aware of is Africa could be like the dumping ground where they want to test things that they would never do on the Western side. But because we don't have enforced regulations, they came to test it on our people in the north, saying, oh, this will make you not have polio. But they knew that they were given the live virus, not the toned down one. If it's a dead virus, then the body will have a chance to build antibodies against it. We know, and I'll go back to the past, where Africans have been wounded from participating in clinical trials. They didn't even know they were participating in clinical trials. But what Pfizer did back then was they brought vaccines, they brought medications, which they told the people, they did it in the north, that, oh, this medication will stop them from getting polio. What did they do? They gave live virus. So that, we call it PTSD. Then we have stories of thalidomide, not just in Nigeria. Thalidomide was supposed to cure morning sickness in pregnant women, but it caused fetal deformity when the women took it, when pregnant women took it. So when you see, if you look up like people with thalidomide, they will have like stumps. The hands, the feet will be like toromagbe. I don't know if that's what it's called. There are things that you must do before you can even put medication in your wonder drug, your so-called wonder drug that you found. Before you can use it in people, you have to test it out.
Here supporting nxtCRO with this first seminar to share information about bringing clinical trial framework to Nigeria. So I'm particularly here to educate on the option on the option that exists, which includes pharmacovigilance, just sharing knowledge and broadening people's horizon and sharing information.
Because if the balance is tipped the other way, I'm sure you probably have heard or experienced where medications are withdrawn from the market, right? Some old, maybe my mom's 85, she's using the medication, it's working well for her, and she's doing great on it. And then we go back to the doctor and they say, oh no, you can't get it anymore, use this one instead. We're like, yeah, but this one doesn't work. It doesn't work like it's been working. Although my mom may be benefiting greatly from it, if the majority of people using it are not, and they are reporting more side effects than benefits, then that drug can be pulled. The approval can be withdrawn. So you can't get that drug anymore, and it becomes a pain. At any point, the benefit that that drug is providing to the patient outweighs the risk. For us to ask those questions, because you don't know how your body is going to react to any medication. And BC touched upon that as well, because for every medication that you put into your mouth, into your body, right, for everything that isn't natural, everything that nature didn't make, there's a greater risk of side effects. And the only reason why medications are kept on the market is when the benefit continues to outweigh the risk. So there are regulatory bodies in the world. We have them also in Africa. NAFDAC, we have in Nigeria. I don't actually know yet how active NAFDAC is, but I know that the regulatory framework is still in its infancy, in my view, but it's coming up. I mean, compared to global regulators like FDA in the US, EMA in the UK, BfArM in Germany, for the first world, there are so many regulators. And they're there for the simple reason, and that reason is to protect the patient population. So if these checks and balances are not in place, then we stand the risk of another thalidomide disaster happening. So this is to ensure the safety of the medicines that we're putting into our mouths, to ensure, or injecting that we're taking orally or in any other form, to ensure that the patient is protected. How do we do that? How do we ensure that the patient is protected? So from this speech earlier on, she talked about the different phases of clinical trials. Pharmacovigilance actually cuts across all of them. And for each phase, to ensure that the patient is safe as much as possible. You have the preclinical trial bit where they're testing in a handful of patients. Then you have phase 1, it goes to maybe 100 patients. And then you have phase 2 and that number doubles. And then you have phase 3 and then that's in thousands of people. All of this is before that product is actually marketed. So all the preclinical trial is, preliminary testing, just to get that medication on the market. And then what happens after the medication now receives a marketing authorization and is now open to millions of people, right? A clinical trial, usually it's a clean environment, if you think about it, right? The patients that are recruited there are criteria that they have to meet for them to actually be included in a clinical trial. So if I'm testing a drug for a particular condition, right, I may not want patients who have concomitant diseases that may impact how my drug will work, right? It's a free-for-all. Healthcare professionals are prescribing it. In Nigeria, we go to the chemist and we say, I want this drug, and they give it to us. This is when PV, post-marketing PV, actually now kicks in. Real-world experience as a side effect, right? Who's going to know about it? That's pharmacovigilance, right? So now, I as a patient, or I as a healthcare professional, or whoever is using that medication, we owe a duty, right? And the manufacturers of Viagra now realize, oh God, there is an unexpected benefit. So pharmacovigilance isn't just about reporting the side effects. If you experience a benefit from the medication as well, it needs to be reported. And in order to do that, we need to have the regulatory framework in place to be able to collect that data. Can you imagine generations, hundreds and millions of Nigerians who have used medication and we've lost that data because there is no means of gathering the data, evaluating the data, and using that data to benefit your children, my children, in the future. People like us.
There are 4 phases in clinical trials. Phase 1 is where you test it, you do your experiment in very small number of people, like 10. Try to figure out what dose is best. Is it 10 milligrams? Is it 20 milligrams? Is it 1,000 milligrams? Which the person selling you agbo on the bus has not done. They'll just tell you, take 1 cup, take 1 teaspoon. Really? Does that work for everybody? Are there facts? Are there results? Please ask questions. So anyway, back to the phases. So once you test it in the 10 small group of people, and before you even do that, you need an approval from the FDA. Phase 2 is going to, say, 200 people, or maybe 25, or a small, bigger. You're increasing small, little by little. It will give them a different data set. If phase 2 is safe enough, after you submit your results, then you can say, I want to go to phase 3. Now we're talking phase 3, can be multiple countries, can be in thousands of people. So what is going on in that group of people? So then the FDA demanded that there has to be diversity in the testing of drugs. Diversity, whether it's races, different races, black people's body reacts differently to some conditions and some medications. But the FDA is requiring that there should be diversity, range. We want to know different things, different groups of people, how they react before you can even say, I've tested my drug. One of our mission is to increase awareness of what clinical trials is, which is what we're doing today, to tell people the benefits of participating.
From today's program, I learned a lot about data science. I learned a lot about the pharmaceutical industry and how we apply data, how data is the starting point of everything from data analysis to then to marketing. Yeah.
And today I learned about pharmacovigilance, how people need to be more aware about the effects of drugs and then taking action and deciding whether or not to go ahead. I also learned the role of data science, AI, and analytics in creating solutions in the pharmaceutical industry. Going forward, I intend to go into that, brainstorm ideas, and see how we can solve problems in Africa.
I have learned, or would I say I've been exposed to how I have the responsibility to properly steward data, that's clinical data, and viewing the statistics and data that has been brought to us today in today's session, I see the responsibility of us as Nigerians, as Africans, to be able to be responsible and steward data properly, not just taking everything that is dumped on our site, not just taking every drug that is dumped here, read the side effects, read the benefits, not just go to chemists and take drugs, but be aware, be intentional, and be very vigilant concerning what we consume.
It opened my knowledge to clinical trials, and it was quite a session that opened my mind into opportunities that I could tap into, from knowing about data analytics, knowing about how to position myself and prepare for opportunities ahead. And I'm so happy for the organizers, and I really thank them for what they did, and I look forward to more things from them in the future.
Today has been phenomenal. We did it. This is groundbreaking. From ideation, like my team member said, to actually executing. We're so glad today has been made possible, and we look forward to many more. So we've launched the introduction to clinical trials. I think the first of its kind in Africa, and we hope to have more. We did this in Lagos, Nigeria, and we've proven that we have interest, one. We have the human resource here so that we can invite businesses to come to Nigeria and hire talent. We have tech-savvy people who are willing to learn, and they can do more. So we're inviting businesses to come. And Nigeria is ready for you too. We did this today in Lagos, Nigeria, and we hope that the Society of Data Managers will also be convinced that we can host future events in Nigeria, especially here in Lagos. Lagos is a center of excellence, and it has everything for everyone. So I'm thankful for my team. I'm thankful for the people who joined. We hope to carry this into more universities, to partner with them and educate the team, the faculty members. We're thankful for the faculty from Lagos University who came also today, Professor Ashekun, to attend and honor us. So we want to do this with more universities, spread the word, because again, we want to be informed about our healthcare. We don't just want to take things for granted. We want to put diversity in clinical data. We want to be active participant in our own healthcare, so other people will not make the decisions on our behalf. And then we're forced to live with it. So thank you so much for my teams, and thank you for making today possible. I look forward to more workshops and greater things to come.